Okay, we're ready.
Okay, hello everybody, and welcome to the Portsmouth Coffee Talks Evening Edition. My name is James Lim Overton, and I'm here with host Leah Drake-Stitt and Thomas the Colonel Chapman, and we're glad you are here. And we have a special guest, which Tommy, which the Colonel will introduce in a minute. But before we get started, I'd like to say condolences to the family of Michael Vann, one of our classmates of IC Norfolk class of 1972, who passed away suddenly. Certainly a great shock to all that knew him, especially our classmates, and he was a friend to many. And sometimes you don't know how many people you affect until you're no longer here. And I see all the comments about him and people that knew him and expressed sorrow and how they will miss him. So condolences again to the family of Michael Vann. We love you, brother. We appreciate you, and rest in heaven. Okay, Colonel, go ahead and do your thing, brother.
Well, okay, first I'd like to give the disclaimer that I like to do is one, the views listed on this or stated on this program or this show are those of the host and our guests and not of anyone else in the world. So it's just us. So we can stay out of Facebook jail. Today is my distinct honor that I introduce that most people in the world already know. Is a friend of mine, a great friend, colleague, a warrior, and somebody that went to we share this alma mater, but we also share a kinship because I think I've known her for over 27 years, even before kids got here. So I've known her, as they say, as Joe Sample says in one of his albums, we go way back, way back. And this is Crystal Scofield, retired United States Army Nurse Corps. And so I will say hello, Crystal. How you doing?
Hello, everyone. How are you?
Yes.
How are you, Crystal? Welcome to Portsmouth Coffee Talk.
Thanks for the invitation.
Yes. So, Crystal, on this segment, we've been highlighting HBCUs and sort of opening the doors and shining a light on the importance of HBCUs, not on just an educational part, but the part of how HBCUs play in the history of our country and opening the doors for so many that we, for an education and a lifestyle and a growth and development kind of thing that we would not have gotten anywhere else. So one, you're from Maryland, right?
Yes.
And then, so why'd you come to Hampton when you had why'd you come to Hampton when you had so many other places to go up there in Maryland?
Let's see. Well, first of all, I started off even in high school. I went on a college tour offered by the Panhellenic here up in Washington, D.C. And we toured a lot of the schools here on the East Coast, down Norfolk, North Carolina. And we might have gone, maybe about 10 schools. Hampton I found is very pretty. I fell in love with the water. All the schools I visited were very nice. However, I just took a liking on to Hampton. I wanted to go into nursing. They had a good nursing program. So I just ended up there. My parents actually went to HBCUs here, but I guess I just migrated down to Hampton. Yeah. It's such a beautiful campus.
Yes, it's right there on the right there by the river, and you can look out the classroom and look at the water. Beautiful campus.
Beautiful.
You mentioned you went to ROTC, am I correct?
Yes, I was in the ROTC program, and I initially knew nothing about ROTC actually when I got to Hampton.
So you applied for ROTC when you got there or before?
When I got there, my roommate actually introduced me to an open house that the ROTC department was having. And that's how I got connected and took a class each semester, not even thinking about the military, but just learning, very interesting. And I believe my second year or third year, they offered me a scholarship. Of course, I was nervous, but I went on with it. I talked to some other, instructors, nurses that were in the Army, and it was a lot of opportunity.
Well, you know what? You're talking about the ROTC part. Was Eleanor Daniels the director, down
Of nursing? Yes, when I was there. Yes.
Small world. She was there when I was there because I graduated a couple of years before you. But the Eleanor Daniel was a colonel at the 18th Field Hospital there in Norfolk.
Right.
And yes, and I remember when I was there, I'd go to school Monday through Friday, and then on the weekends when I had drill, she was the chief nurse, and basically she'd say, "Go over there and do your homework, and do what you got to do, so you can get through this program."
Right.
And so, but she went off to, I think, went to a University of Chicago as rector or somewhere like that. She's had a very successful career after that. But saying that, you're talking about the lineage of folks of your family. Didn't you have another family member going to, other than your parents, going to HBCUs? What did your daughter do? Where'd they go?
To Hampton. I actually had two. Yes, I actually have two daughters. One just graduated from Hampton this past December, and I have one that will graduate next May. So a year from.
Okay. Excellent. So I know that you're proud of them.
Yes, I'm very proud of. I'm very, very proud of them. And it wasn't my intent. I told them they knew they were going to school. I did not force Hampton, even though I'm glad they went to Hampton, on them. And they also went on several college tours. And I don't know if it was from, they would go back and forth with me for homecoming and different events there. So they kind of fell in love with the school, the campus, and ultimately that's where they ended up going. I mean, my youngest daughter thought she was going to California. Then she actually had a couple other, they were both accepted into, many schools, but they chose Hampton. And I'm very proud.
Yes, I and knowing them I saw them coming up through the ranks and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I know you're very proud, and we all are proud. But, I have a particular question to ask, especially when you have the connection to the military, being a Black female. How was your military career and those points and the bumps in the road, and to be a success in the career that you had in the military? How's your thing, and how did Hampton prepare you for some of those challenges?
I think, as far as leadership, mentorship, getting us, prepared, giving us the tools in the toolbox to go out there and be successful. And I mean, all the way down to financial. I know a lot of times they're not courses built in the curriculum or even in the high school level to discuss like your finances, the do's and don'ts, getting set up with, saving money and different programs. So, with that, and then coming on active duty and picking up other mentors. That was very crucial in my career. As you know, Thomas, you're one of my mentors. And it's just, and I'm not going to say it wasn't any bumpy roads, because it was, but you learn to overcome and push forward. I think, you know, just having that ground, that foundation, is you can do anything. And I also had that, you know, coming into school from my parents. So, you know, knowing that you're going to have rough times, but you just gotta keep it moving. So, and then I had a lot of active duty Black females that, you know, that took me up under their wing, you know, and you got to be able to take, you know, it is what it is, you know, and take that, you know, no one's perfect. Take those bumps and learn from them and move forward. Yeah.
Well,
No, you are
Crystal,
so
let's
correct.
go back to your time as a student on Hampton University's campus. Tell us about your times there, your life on the campus, because we want to encourage the younger children who's out there and haven't made a decision as to where they would like to go to school. Share with us some of your thoughts while you were there on the campus of Hampton University.
Let's see. I guess I stayed in several of the dorms there on campus, and it pretty much was like a family. You kind of take on each other. You get to know others from different states, and even out of the country, because we had multiple students from all over the world. It's just more so. You're not a number. Let's put it that way. You're really not a number calling off 1, 2, 3, 4. So, the teachers know you by name. You're able to come back, for help. It's not just this random, you're walking past the camp, on campus, and you're just going by. Folks are speaking. It's like it's just like a family environment. And that's the biggest thing that we had there, in bonding with others and learning. I have lifelong friendships with my classmates, and, it's totally different even, from grad school. You just, I couldn't name anyone probably in grad school. However, I could probably rattle off several hundred, names. And we still, to this day, still fellowship together, keep in touch, network, look out after each other. So, I think it gets you focused. It's almost like sometimes in class, mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
That type of environment, buckle down, you need to do this, and it's not that they over you every 24 hours a day, but I think it's that push, that extra push that you have, and bond, not even, with the instructors and the students. And you take on, like, that's my sister, that's my brother. We have the big brother, big sister program there that, usually a class or two,
Mm-hmm.
they, so, but I think that was, I almost felt at home there.
Mm-hmm. And what years were you on campus?
I entered in 85. My class is 89.
Okay, so my son-in-law was there when you were there. My daughter came after you left there, but we have a long history of folks who attended Hampton as well. My husband is a Hampton graduate, and so was my mother. So was his mother, and my uncle. My uncle was
wow.
there in 1932 when
Oh,
it was
wow.
Hampton Institute. So
Institute.
Institute, yes. So we've shared some experiences there on the campus as well. And in fact, my daughter got married in the chapel there at Hampton, on Hampton University's grounds. So quite an experience there as well. So you would have been there when my son-in-law was there. He played basketball for Hampton as well.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Yes.
James, you were about to say something?
Yeah, I want to, Crystal, well, before I go there, I want to say something to the Norfolk State alums that might be confused that the colonel wearing his blue gear. And you've seen him in the Norfolk State gear, so don't be confused or insulted. He graduated from both universities and has love for both, equal love for universities. So
It's all about the HBCUs.
don't,
Yes.
you know, make comments to us about what is he doing, a traitor or something.
Yes.
Anyway, go
Got
ahead.
a divided loyalty.
Yeah.
But I will say one thing here now that Slim talked about that. And he always talks about the Divine Nine. Don't you belong to one of the sororities too, Crystal?
Yes. Delta Sigma Theta. I didn't pledge at Hampton. Actually, it'll be a year, the 30th of this month. I'm with the Prince George's County alumni chapter.
Mm-hmm. So that's all right. I just had to get that off my chest.
Hey, James.
I was going to bring that up because you mentioned you had experience with the Panhellenic Council in high school. So I'm sure that kind of influenced you later on when you picked a sorority to go into. And you going to Hampton, you also created that legacy, and both of your daughters went there as well. And we just heard stories about uncles and family members going to Hampton University. And that's one thing about the HBCUs. And I think you may have had the experience, even though you were at Hampton, and then you had the experience to interact with other people from other HBCUs. You might have known somebody from your hometown that went to Virginia State or Virginia Union or Norfolk State. And that's how was that experience for you? You know, you had the experience on the Hampton campus, but then you also had that experience of interacting with other HBCU schools and their students.
Yeah, so we traveled on the weekends. You know, we might go to Norfolk State for a game, or, you know, I went as far. I remember going to Virginia State for a game. Even if we didn't play, you know, another school. You know, I've been down to North Carolina, A&T, Shaw. So we traveled, not all the time because naturally we had to do our work, but we were able to get out and go to the different campuses, to different events, and that was nice. It, you know, it wasn't, you get to see their campus, you know, talk about, because like you said, we had friends going to other schools. So I had a very good friend here that every year she went to A&T. Every year until we graduated, I went with her down to get her settled. And then, you know, I would come back a week later, and then my parents would get me down to Hampton. So I was literally at North Carolina A&T every year. Stayed a couple of days.
One of the some of the experiences that a lot of people have in college in general and in HBCUs is having the opportunity to meet people in different genres in that field of entertainment or politics or something like that. Did you have any experiences while you were on campus to meet someone that might have been your idol, or someone that you have seen in the limelight, you know, in any politics, anything like that? That you can recall?
Let's see, Neil Carter. If you remember Neil Carter.
Yeah.
I remember her daughter Tracy sat behind me in the math class.
Okay.
And you would not know that she was her daughter until someone actually told me that. And I remember her showing me a picture. Yes. Let's see, Tracy. Who else? It was a couple others that we had. I can't remember, but that's right off because she was right there, sitting behind me in math class. But there, I believe they said there's some Luther Vandross's niece or nephew was there. So we had quite a few, folks, but it was never, it felt so much like a family. It wasn't, like, oh no, you can't speak to this, that, and the other. They kind of blended in. It wasn't, a t-shirt wearing, I'm the son or daughter of so and so. You would really never know.
Yes. And the last question for me for right now is, on college campuses, sometimes national or local issues become a focus of the students to get involved with. You remember anything going on during your time at Hampton that was a local or national interest that sparked the interest of the students on the campus to be involved in any kind of way? Or was your time there, everything was sort of?
I'm sure it was something going on, but I just, that was a lot of years ago. I can't remember anything really that I'm trying, that would, I can't really think of anything that was really going on.
Yeah, don't worry about it. I mean, it's one of those things that come up later. I just had to ask that because a lot of college students have that experience when they're in college. Things are going on around them, and it comes onto the campus, and it creates some sort of interest with the students to be involved, and many times it sort of shapes what they do later on when they graduate because of the experience, during that time.
And you know what? And Hampton's campus has so much history. I know I take my youth group there often. You have Emancipation Oak there, and you have the statue of Booker T. Washington there, and you have a wonderful African-American history museum on campus. Have you had an opportunity to go back to, well, your daughters were there, so they know all about Emancipation Oak and about Booker T. Washington's place there on the campus, but to visit the art museum there, which is an amazing art museum there on campus.
On campus, yes. I have not been with the last several years. I think probably the last time I was in there was when I was there. But
did you have any special celebrations around Emancipation Oak or Booker T. Washington statue or anything of that nature?
We had a lot of things at the Emancipation Oak, at the tree there, and even going back to like homecoming or graduations I've been to, something usually planned up in that area. Yes, so it is a lot of history. We have a lot of new statues there. So it's a lot of history. It's a lot of history there.
But Colonel, I don't know if you remember, a few years back, there was a plan by the Department of Highway to build a road there, which would have taken away Emancipation Oak. Do you remember that? I was trying to find the literature on it. I know there was a big feedback from the community in reference to that, but that just shows that if you don't know your history, then the relevance of what's taking place on campus, things can happen and you don't realize it. If people were not aware of Emancipation Oak, then they would have built that highway right through there and destroyed that history that was there, and so I was trying to find the article on it. I was hoping Colonel would have remembered it and helped me along with this.
Well, I do remember it. It was actually a road expansion that highway expansion that they were going to take out the Emancipation Oak. And what it is, it goes back to a lesson of being politically involved.
Exactly.
People with their vote. And putting office holders out of business, send them on the street like they should be. And then they squashed it real quick after that. But it was a tough fight, and they had to take legal actions and go back to the historical. They had to go back to Historical Society and get it named within the Federal Registry.
Right.
That's the only thing that stopped it.
And let me tell you, and Harvey had been president there for how long?
40.
About 100 years.
It's about 40. He's about to retire here.
Yeah,
I guess it was 40 some years.
Yeah, so have a new president coming in.
Yes,
And a military man at that.
Yes. Yes, 3-star.
Yes.
Yes, I think in President Harvey's the longest president that has been over an HBCU. Period.
Very true. That's very true.
Yes.
For years.
Well, Harvey has done one thing is that he, to his credit, he got the endowment from $3 million up to some people say it's up to $300 million as an endowment. There are some who will be, I don't want to pour cold water on his grave yet, that he ain't gone yet, but we need to do something about the tuition rates down there in Hampton also.
Definitely so. And you're right about that, because my granddaughter had signed and planned to go to Hampton. And when she found out how much they were charging for tuition, she said, I can go to North Carolina A&T and I'll come out better in the long run,
I have money left over.
Yeah. So she didn't go to Hampton. That's where she signed her pledge to go, but ended up going to North Carolina A&T because the tuition is, what is it like? What is it now? A year?
Oh,
40,
50.
Too much. I believe it's up there. Now, I believe I got something. I don't want to say something live on the air, but I think they're going to freeze it and not increase it this upcoming year. So I guess, keeping it there, but I guess like Tommy said, we need to bring it back a little.
Yeah, because there are children who want to go, but my goodness, what you're leaving there, those who don't have scholarships, and Hampton doesn't give a whole lot of scholarships. So they don't give a lot of scholarships. So you're going to have that at the end. Now, my daughter was blessed that she went to Hampton, but they gave her a scholarship to do her graduate studies there on the campus as well. So she didn't have to pay that portion of her college there. But it's really, you come out with a healthy bill once you leave Hampton University.
Well, you know what, and they do give scholarships, but there's what I call the bait and switch. They give it to you the first year
and switch it out.
And the kids hooked in it, and then next thing you know, the parents are signing from those scholarship plus loans. And you want to be a senior citizen paying back your child's loans back into your Asian days. So, that's enough commentary on there. But going back to the new president coming up there, yes, it is Lieutenant General Williams, who is a logistics officer, was head of logistics command in the Army, and he is a good man. I've met him before, and it'll be a breath of fresh air.
But one thing we got to give to Harvey too is, and James Edwards just reminded me of this, and my husband went through it, is the proton therapy center that they have. That place is amazing. That's amazing. What you got to say about that, Colonel? Because I could hear you breathing hard. I felt it through the screen. I felt the breath come through the screen.
Well, yes, and Crystal also is a nurse also, so I'm gonna let her chime in once I put this in. Proton therapy is a cutting edge treatment, for anywhere to treat from different types of solid mass tumors to prostate cancer or whatever. The only problem is it's not reimbursable from most insurances. Right. One of the things they didn't do and have not done is publish papers and do the research and do the secondary piece to get it approved from CMS, Center for Medicare CMS system or whatever, CMS. And so they have not done the work. And that's the same problem with they didn't invest in it. Harvey was so busy trying to make some money, didn't take that secondary step. And that's the same thing is because of the pharmacy program that they had that went down the toilet. Great program. He didn't reinvest in it. And now it's in the toilet. And there's one of the few pharmacy programs in HBCUs across the country that we had it and now we don't have it. Mm-hmm. So maybe then this next president will take the step and breathe life into it and we can move on. So, and I am biting, yes, Leah, I am biting my tongue trying to.
I know. I thought about it after I brought it up and I said, well, maybe I should have kept that to myself. But anyway.
I'm trying to, so if Harvey is listening out there, I don't want him to back out of his retirement. So I want him to go ahead and off.
Listen, Crystal, that's our colonel, and you know him well, so I don't have to say it to you.
Yes.
Back on the historical piece of Hampton University, okay? And for the young people who are out there as well, right behind the Hampton University campus is the Veterans Cemetery. And that was one place that my uncle used to take us every year. We had to visit the Veterans Cemetery and put flags on the Veterans Cemetery. And the Veterans Hospital is behind that cemetery. Looks like Michelle Smith says it looks like the Veterans Hospital may be closing. Do anyone know anything about that?
I don't know anything about that.
Yes, I do. It is proposed under Senator Tester is in charge of the VA, something in the Senate. He's got a proposal to close a lot of the VAs across the country. And Hampton VA is one of them marked for death. And they want to replace it with several smaller clinics around. Like they built
in Portsmouth and the surrounding cities.
Yeah. And the problem with that is the whole plan is all jacked up because one, they don't have enough people to work at the VA anyway, and they'll be taking away services. And so you won't have surgical services there. You know, you'll get something there, and to include, you know, these small clinics will be family practice. Well, there'll be, you know, family practice or whatever. You know, they may have some psychological stuff there, but your services will be cut down, and it's going to put a lot of people out on the street. They'll be forced to retire or move on to other VAs, which basically tell them you have to leave. And so it's a ill thought out plan. I intend to write Tester and tell him about himself. But it's about pork barrel spending because they want to do almost like $2 trillion to do this.
Wow.
And so the Confederates in the Senate may get on it for a smaller price tag because all they care is about building buildings, but it's going to be useless as far as helping veterans. And it's not going to improve anybody's care.
And once again, I'm sorry I took you all off the topic. I apologize. Our topic is supposed to be HBCU, so but it's right there. But it's all right there together. It's encompassed together there. So,
well, it's with Hampton University and the VA being right there beside each other. It serves as a great clinical resource for the Department of Nursing and all the allied health stuff that actually just for this region. And
thank you for bringing it back around, Colonel. I like you. Thank you. Thank you for bringing it back home.
So, yes. So, but Tester's plan will take that away.
Yeah.
Yes.
So who knows if anything great that's going to take place on Hampton's campus? And are there any great plans in the makings? Have you heard of anything else that they're planning to do? I know they have the weather satellite there. I know they have the rowing classes and there. Anything else taking place on Hampton's campus?
Other than they're trying to open up some new stuff when you're trying to get into the cyber world.
Okay, that was great.
And that is the new thing now, especially with things were popping up with Russia and all these cyber crooks. And so cyber is the way to go. If you get a STEM degree, then and what I call STEM is science, technology, engineering, and math. And I also added, when I was on the board, when I worked as a staff officer with ROTC, with Cadet Command, we add nursing into it as far as STEM, because the classes that nurses take is just as hard. There's some programs it's harder to get in nursing program than it is to get in med school.
So how is the nursing program on Hampton's campus now? Have you heard anything, or you had any reference to that?
Do you want me to take that?
Yeah, you did.
Yes.
Well, you're both Hampton graduates, and it's about HBCU. It's about Hampton University. So,
yes. They have taken a hit because they've been starved from the big tide of money from the outgoing president. They've needed a new building, a new facility, and stuff like that for the last 10, 15 years. They've been in that one building. And hopefully General Williams, the new president, will see that nursing is a feeder program, because there's so many, for every, say for every 50 nurses that they graduate, they may have 300, 350, 400 other people trying to take those feeder courses, the biologies and sociologies and psychologies and the microbiologies and those other classes, trying to get a slot, get one of those openings, one of those 50 openings that's going to come up in that year. And so you've got to have at least a 3.6 now to even be considered to get into an upper division after 2 years on your third year to get in the nursing program. And even then, if you got 3.6, you may be standing outside the door trying to get in. It's how tough it is to get into nursing, because as a nurse, you'll always have a job.
Right. And if I'm, I believe also now, like when I went, I was a nursing major. When you come in and your interest is nursing, you're not in a nursing major until they actually have an exam they have to pass. I forget, I don't know, Thomas, do you know the name, that examination they have to take to pass to even then, become a nursing major?
Yes, yes.
It's a test. I can't think of the name now, but they have to actually test that, take and pass that examination, and they're going into the junior year. So does that have something to do probably with credentialing?
Yes, because your accreditation is predicated on the percentage of folks that, after you finish the program, and those who take the state board of license, everything's for that renewal is predicated on the percentage of people that pass that test. And before you could graduate with an A, say an A average in any nursing program out there. But if you, at the end of the program, you take what they call as the HESI exam. And if you don't pass that, you're not allowed to take the state boards. And so, to Hampton's credit, they have one of the higher pass failure ratios in the state also. So it's still a great program, and they've survived, even being bringing it back to the war in Ukraine. Even they've been encircled by the previous government that's been trying to starve off the money. They've upheld high standards.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
I like to ask Crystal, and we all agree, and we agree all the time, is HBCU experience is one of the greatest. And most of us that go to the HBCUs, our experiences with a lot of people, mostly with people that look like us. But that's not saying that we don't learn how to face what we're going to face when we go out into the world. When you left Hampton and you went into the military and you had to go to all these different places, You know, you think sometime in the 80s and 90s that discrimination was not as prevalent, but you know, when you, what kind of experiences did you have when you went into the military and went to these different areas, Germany or different areas in the United States where people still have caught up with what, with the real world, even though you had that African-American, mostly African-American experience coming out of HBCU, you were prepared for what you faced?
Yes, I can remember in a particular duty station where it was a family member. Well, let me start off by saying this. My head nurse called me in her office, and I'm, you know, thinking, oh no, what, you know, what is going on? And, you know, sit down, try to make it a relaxing, you know, in her office. And we had a patient that did not want me to take care of her.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, she kind of hemmed and hawed around, but it was actually because I was African-American and she didn't want me to take care of her. And, you know, growing up, you know the stories parents tell, you know, you have that. But I guess at that time, and I'll never forget that, I was just, you know, blown out because of that. You know, you're thinking you're coming in, and that was very early in my career. You know, I have to move forward, you know, just move forward. And for the sake of the patient, you know, and I did not take care of that patient, but it became, you know, a big deal. And so it was a couple of us on the floor, and each assignment was made around that patient until she left. So I think that's the most memorable
But
event.
there probably were others. And
yes.
Yes. As you moved up in the rank, you know, you gained a certain amount of respect because of the rank and because of also your personality. Did you see some of those same issues popping up, you know, even though you were ranked higher?
Yes, you know, I've also held a job in the Army, and I was told by one of the enlisted soldiers that, you know, the only reason that I was able to get into that area was the skin, was my, you know, because, you know, I'm not dark skinned, and, you know, because of the color of my skin, I'm light, you know, and I'm thinking, are you kidding? I earned to be there. That person was a career individual in that field, but that became an issue too that I had to address. But again, when you're dealing with that, you got to be able to address professionally. You know, it's not a battle about, you know, screaming at the top of your lungs or so, but you got to really, you learn quickly things that you have to address or nip in the bud, if you want to say. You know, some folks can get a pass and some folks can't. You got to nip it then, because you give a green light to that sends a signal. That's a green light that I can continue to do that. And so, you know, I like to say that, you know, my skin is tired now because of the military, but I'm very grateful of the experiences. And I can't say, you know, I'm glad I had these different things that happened that might have been, if you will, off to the left, but it allows you to, it's that growth and development you take with that. And then second to that, you have a mentor that, you know, you could talk about it and just, you know, and move forward. You know, we move a lot in the military, you know, a couple years here, a couple years there. So the good thing about that is, you know, I might have to just look at your face for the next year and
Mhm.
move forward. But you learn from, just like you learn from mistakes, you learn from those things that happen in life. And I like to share those things. So it might not happen to like one of my kids or someone else, but to be able to address the situation professionally. I mean, that's the biggest thing for me. It's not, I have to put my hands on,
Mhm,
or I have to say vulgar words, but just address it. And
mhm.
if you have to take it, to leadership above you, then that's what you have to do. And I think that's a big, big thing. Folks don't want to address it. They don't like something, and you just got to, you might be out of your comfort zone in reporting it, but you have to do it.
Mhm.
You have to do it, because that's the only way it's going to stop. You got to keep pressing on until it is addressed.
And Crystal,
Thank
and
you.
I
Thank you
think
so much
having
for
attended an
Leah.
HBCU and having
Leah,
a
just one
sense of
minute.
history helps us to be better prepared to handle those situations, because we're not surprised when those situations happen in our lives, because
Right.
our school and our history has prepared us to take on these challenges once it's time we have to face them. So I think that helps us tremendously.
Yes. And you have to be, it's almost like you have to be a step ahead.
Yeah, that's true.
You have to be a step ahead. Someone might not have the credentials or the experience, and
Mhm.
you're wondering why this person got this over you when you have all these. And I can remember a time with that also. But you just learn from that and move forward.
Mhm.
I like, so you just keep it moving.
Mhm.
You
Yeah.
know,
Crystal,
Crystal, you
I
are
just
so
want
right.
James.
in my statement before just by saying thank you for your service and your sacrifice.
Yes, yes,
Trying to get
yes.
that. Thank
Thank you
you.
for your
Mhm.
support.
And thank you too, Colonel, for your service and your sacrifice.
Oh, you are
Yeah.
so welcome. Enjoy the time. Enjoy the time. But I like to echo on what she did say is that, yes, coming from an HBCU school, it gives you a broad base historical
Exactly.
context to
Mm-hmm.
how you deal with others.
Mm-hmm.
And so when you, even if you're not in the military, you're out in the civilian sector or in the military, and if you've come from an HBCU schools, you have a leg up in society because you understand, like Crystal was saying, if you when things come up and if you don't report it or speak up,
Mm-hmm.
then as Martin Luther King says, you condone it
Exactly.
and
Mhm.
you are
Exactly.
part of the problem.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And also, it's even doubly tough when you have people above you, higher rank, that are the ones that are perpetrating this stuff out on what I call the Confederates or putting this down on this. I've had a chief nurse when I was a lieutenant colonel says, Tom, I'm gonna get you. Basically in an open meeting says, I'm gonna get you. I'm gonna basically destroy my career.
Mm-hmm.
And I just looked at her, took 2 seconds and says, and I would tell you, like I told her, and I've told most of the general officers that I work for, I don't work for an OER, which is a report card. I don't work for an award. I work for my family and the people that work with me.
Mhm.
And also, and third one, I work for these patients. If I take care of all three of them, then this organization will go on. So if you want to do whatever you want to do it. You
Mhm.
can't bend this piece of metal I got on my shoulder.
Hmm.
You can bend it, but it ain't gonna break me. I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
keep doing what I'm gonna do. And so I've always been outspoken. I'm
Mm-hmm.
surprised I
Yes.
got as far as I did. So yes, uh, but it's all good.
Col-
Mhm.
And
Colonel, Colonel, I think you got that honestly.
yes, Yes.
And if you know what I'm talking about.
You got to speak out. You got to speak up.
Yeah.
But as I digress, and I meant about talk about being a Black female coming through the ranks, and then so I think we were talking off camera, and we talked about we've known several twins that have been in the Corps with us as we served, and I met Crystal when we were in I think it was 95, 96.
Yes, we were overseas.
Yeah, and we got there and we were getting ready to leave, I think about a day or two before Christmas to go to Bosnia.
Bosnia.
Yeah, back in the day. And you know, there was only a handful of us, the people that looked like us with any rank. And isolated, and this was our first operational deployment. And it was very interesting how Crystal talks about the kinship that has lasted throughout these decades plus after that. As a matter of fact, we had a set of twins there. I can't think of the names right off the top. And I see you now. But we also had another set of twins at Fort Stewart that was there, Black African-American twins. And I just talked to one of them this week, Nidra and Deidre. And one of them's in getting a nurse practitioner at USHUS with my daughter. And so there are certain challenges that Black females have that have in the military that others don't have.
Did they allow them to serve together, Colonel, in the same base?
They came in together on this set of twins, Nidra and Deidre, and both are majors now, going up for lieutenant colonel. And they served their first duty station in Stewart, and I think they went to Benning or somewhere after that, the second tour, and then they had to they split because one of them went into the ICU program, and then one went to was an OB person, and she had a different skill set,
career path.
career path. And speaking of that,
it's not my dog this time.
That's mine.
my dog is usually the one that's barking, but it's not her this time. She said she's not guilty. She's
Sorry,
not
but
you got a dog, Cujo. Tell Cujo to be quiet. They kill a dog.
What'd you say, James?
oh yeah.
So we have cats that walk across the screen and anything. So it's all good.
Yeah, one thing about the twins, if I'm correct, they did a article on twins in the Army, because there are several sets. There were several sets. You know, some are probably retired now. You know, the younger ones still on active duty. But I'm almost sure there was an article they did on twins.
Right. Well, you know what, you're talking about specialties too. So you went to the ICU course?
Yes.
Can you talk about some of the stuff that you did there at Walter Wonderful?
Oh, I loved it. I did attend the ICU course. I did the ICU course here in Washington, D.C. at the old Walter Reed. And I worked in the surgical thoracic ICU. So I loved open heart. That was my baby. I loved open heart. And actually I left there to come to Germany. And I don't think I was ever again in a hardcore ICU since my experience there at Walter Reed, which I learned a lot, you know, the foundations and the putting it in, you know, hands-on. You know, I always used to say, you know, that it didn't matter if you had straight A's. If you cannot perform in that bedside, you're done. You know, and putting it together, being able to pull it together at the bedside And, I was able to hone in my skills there. I liked all the buttons, sirens going off, things of that nature. But I learned a lot there. And that I was able to take those skill sets and move forward in my career. And I'm very glad I did that. Again, going into Hampton, I had no idea that I would come out as a commissioned officer and, travel all over the world like that. That was not even a plan. I never had it. I went to school, grade school with, friends that their parents were in the military. And, I'm thinking, you all have to move all the time. And what is that like? And I'd never do that. Well, I wouldn't have a choice if that's what my parents said, but, just trying to understand. And I guess one biggest thing you have to, it's a network. We're working, together. It almost becomes your friends are your family. And that's how I pretty much feel with, you all said the colonel. Yeah, I mean, it's just like family. You can always get on the phone and call up someone, or someone's spouse or so is out of town. You need to help, somebody's child needs the hair comb because the wife is deployed. Just help and bring. It's really like a family. And looking back on my career, I don't think I have, I'm not even gonna say I don't have any regrets, none, because I've seen the world, I've met various people from all over the world. And, a lot of ties are back to my HBCU, the officers, of upper ranks and field grade officers, you're in touch with, and even those that might have been, younger than you continue to mentor. And I'm still in touch with a couple, several, I'll say, nurses that I had under my tenure when I was in charge, calling this, keeping in touch. And that's the biggest thing. I think, those things kind of go together, HBCU and military, at least for my career. I don't think I would never take back what I have gone through. And just that ground foundation that the HBCU provided me with. And then, it was almost like two families. I had my ROTC family that we're very close knit, to this day. And also you have your classmates. It's just like a family. And I can't imagine, well, I know it's not, it wouldn't be like that in another college setting. It's just, I don't think the value, I shouldn't say value, but I'll say the push is there. You have folks at HBCUs that come from all walks of life, and it just, you're helping each other, work with each other, information, just learning. And I think today, because I can speak for my kids, just them coming home, I mean, it's just, my eyes want to tear up saying, I'm glad you shared these things with me. I see what you mean. And just persevere, push here. You're always going to have bumps in the road. So that's good. And I think just going to an HBCU, and then I went to graduate school, PWI. There is a difference. I mean, it's different time in life, you're working and going to graduate school, but it's really, sitting in the class, I'm sitting there, I could really, you're almost like a statue. You're really not, after class might do a project, but it's really not a connection. Yeah.
Yeah, and as we kind of wind down to this hour, I just wanted to ask this, and Crystal and Colonel, you can chime in too. Being in the military and traveling around, and you know, about the HBCUs, how people know about, a lot of people know about Hampton if they studied history and know about, the different people who went there, and Booker T. Washington, who went there and then went on to form Tuskegee. As you traveled around, especially if you went out Midwest or West, where there are no HBCUs, how were people perceiving, looking at HBCUs? Or some of them probably never heard of them, and it wasn't. I don't know when that term HBCU came. It was just, I mean, in the 70s, you just went to a black college. And HBCUs, which makes it more identifiable now. Saying HBCUs, I think people know what you're talking about. But how were people receiving or perceiving black colleges where you went around? I know you talked about Hampton, specifically, but how were they looking at? Were they looking at it negatively? Oh, you went there? What kind of reaction did you get when you told people you went to Hampton or HBCU? Or was it?
I think I always not positive vibes. I'm talking to, others that have gone to HBCUs. A lot of times you do meet folks that, oh yeah, that's that school in Virginia. I've had folks that said that's that school, like that's that school in Virginia. say that.
It's like you people.
Yeah, like you people, right? That's that school in Virginia. So, I mean, that's been my experience. I haven't really had any negative experiences with anyone. When I say I went to Hampton University now, because it was Institute when I started. I don't remember any negative comments.
You know what? I'll chime in on that one. I remember I went to a meeting and a conference where actually it was Major General Patty Horrill was the incoming chief of the Army Nurse Corps. And we were sitting there, and she is, I considered now to be the most progressive corps chief that we've ever had in our history. And she had a slide up there and says, one of the slides, and I'm sitting there, and it had a slide saying, these are the top 10 HBCU schools in the country where our leadership in the Corps came from. And Hampton was up there. And I'm sitting in the meeting, and I'm a Hampton grad, and there's a couple other Hampton grads sitting in the thing, and we just looked at each other and to say, hey, we were just brimming with pride to say that somebody recognized the value of HBCU schools and how it has on this organization that is charged with providing healthcare to the millions of folks across this country, across the world. And so getting back to the question that Slim had, the term HBCU schools came about during the Reagan years, where when he got in, he tried to choke off some of the money through the education department to choke the HBCU schools out. And so that's why they had to come up with this other thing and put it in legislation to keep him from choking off and killing these schools off permanently. And so it was and so they've always given us bits and pieces of the money that comparatively to the PWIs.
And Leah,
Yes,
you're going to Africa several times. Same question to you, because sometimes someone told me that some parts of Africa know more about American Black history than we do.
I know my first trip to Ghana, those little kids over there knew more African American history than I should say some of the kids. I shouldn't say all of the kids, but the kids that I encountered knew more African American history than many of our kids did here in the States. And because they take it upon themselves and they want to know about our history. So and they know about the HBCUs too, because they try to encourage you to sponsor them so that they can come into the country, so they can go to these HBCUs. So yeah, the history is very profound over there. African American history is.
Yeah, because my first experience with people from Africa was at Virginia Union. They had a very strong African contingent there. I think somebody, a chief of a tribe had come there. So he encouraged a lot of people from the tribes and surrounding tribes. And they had the cuts on their faces, which was a ritual,
Yeah.
something that was identified them as different tribes and things like that. So the Black colleges and HBCUs are known worldwide. And
Yes.
and it's people like you, Crystal, that rise up through the ranks and do what you do to keep that attention on the HBCUs. And we thank you for that. And we thank you for coming on this evening and appreciate
Thanks for the invitation. Thank you so much for having me.
And you know what? I wasn't here when you were talking about how nervous you were. So you see, there was no need to be nervous. It's just like sitting at home with your family, just having a conversation. It's all about just having a conversation and getting the information out there so that so the public can know what's going on, and what your experiences are. And you did an amazing job. And I want to say thank you. Thank you. And once again, thank you for your service and sacrifice.
Thank you. And thank you so much. And thank you for, for having me and for the experience. It's always a learn. You're always learning. And, Thomas says, you can do it. And both he and his wife have been very good friends of mine, and just like family. I've been down to their home a couple times, haven't been down yet with the new backyard. But yes, it's just just everlasting friendship. We had lifelong. It really is.
And I have to mention that this on air. I think we talked about it before we came on. A good friend of our show, Michelle Smith, who watches all of our shows, turned out she was one of your schoolmates and ROTC mates while you were at Hampton. And she's
we're in the same class.
Yes. So she's here and she sent her thank you to you, and she was excited about you coming on as well.
Yes, I talked with her last night. I guess look, I should end with Genesis 2. That's that's a tradition. We have a class name, so I just want to put that out there. Genesis 2. That's my class, and I love them to death. And look forward to homecoming. We'll be there.
So Krista, I must say, Michelle called me first thing this morning to tell me that you were going. She said, you don't need to call me back. You don't need to call me back. But she left a message to let me know that you went to Hampton with her.
Yes.
I'll tell you something about Michelle. I went by to visit her yesterday to pick up, I have a youth group called Sankofa, and she had some Adinkra symbols that she wanted to give to me for the children to use to learn the symbols. But of course, when I went to pick up the symbols, I had to go in the backyard and I had to meet her feathered children. And I had to hold her chicken. It was the first time I ever held a chicken in my arms like a baby. But Michelle would have it no other way. Okay.
Yes. She's a dear friend.
And then I found out the chicken that I was holding, that chicken's name was Sankofa as well.
Yes. And that picture is on Facebook. It's out there.
Picture's on Facebook.
Yeah, I saw it. I said, is that Leah holding a chicken?
Holding a chicken, nestling it like a baby.
When I saw that, I knew where you were.
Holding it like a baby. I was trying to leave. As I was preparing to leave, she said, you can't leave until you see. Did you see my chickens yet? So I had to go see the chickens.
Did they lay an egg for you?
No, I think Michelle owed me some eggs since I held that chicken. That's for sure. Michelle, do you hear me? Eggs. Thank you.
Well, again, thank you everybody for watching, and we appreciate you, and join us. Of course, next week is I think we're going to have on representatives from Virginia State University, and we're gonna go right through them. And we're looking for Virginia State, Elizabeth City,
South Carolina A&T.
North Carolina, what I say,
You said
AT&T?
AT&T. No, North Carolina A&T Aggie Land.
Okay,
Yeah.
so they're gonna get me for that. And hopefully we can expand at some point and spread it out a little bit more. Some of the other HBCUs that are not local here. But anyway, we thank you, and also join us Monday as we will have a local guy. His name is Larry Giss. He grew up in here in Prentice Park area, but now he lives in Fort Wayne, Indiana, and he's been the president of NAACP there for many years, and he's going to be our guest Monday morning from Portsmouth, talking about his experiences as the president and how similar some of the things that he goes through in Fort Wayne that are going on here and throughout the world. So should be an interesting conversation with our homegrown guy who's making waves there in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So thanks again. We
Hey,
appreciate
James,
you.
before you go off, if I can impose, I have to get a little Norcom plug in. So before we go off, I want all of you to please purchase a virtual ticket for our raffle that we have online, and also sign up for the Norcom walk around. And I hope that James and the Colonel will be in agreement that we have the Norcom family on one day before the Norcom walk around in order to talk about that event that's coming up. Raising funds for scholars. That's what we're all about. Raising money for scholars. Okay.
Well, you know, you have my vote. And one more thing before we leave, I'll show this, and I'll say this Saturday, Virginia Union, the Mary Red Nelson Hampton Roads alumni chapter of Virginia Union is having a virtual telethon. It's an annual thing we're having. The first time we're having it virtual, and it's going to be from 10 a.m. to 11:30, where you can sign in and you can give. And you can give before or after that too, but our goal is like $25,000 so we can include that in an endowment form at Virginia Union. The minimum is $25,000, and we'll put that in give that to Union to form another endowment under the Union's name, which will go on forever. So that's 10, and I'll put up the ID and passcode on our page. So if you want to join us and contribute to our scholarship fund, and the significance of this one, we're naming it permanently after Joe B. Fleming, Reverend Joe B. Fleming, a prominent pastor here in the city of Portsmouth who went to the seminary at Virginia Union. And he is a fundraiser for all groups. Anybody in Portsmouth knows Joe B. Fleming as the ultimate fundraiser, and how quick he can raise funds, encourage people to give. So we're naming the scholarship fund permanently after him. And we're trying to raise money for scholarship for students going to Virginia Union University. And I thank you for that. Well, that's it. So any other comment? Colonel, you have any last minute?
Yeah, I'll make it quick though. Crystal, thank you. Thank you for a lifetime of memories. Yes, and it has been great, and we're going to continue this. And you mentioned coming down. I just opened the pool up 2 days ago. And so
okay.
it starts getting a little warmer. Then you got to come on down and go. Yeah, get your feet in, because I know how y'all are about your hair. So you.
Yes, again, thank you so much. And I'll be coming down. I know I've seen pictures, but I have to come on down.
Yes.
You make sure you pull out the grill.
Oh yeah. What's the graduation date? There's other thing.
The 8th.
8th of May.
8th of May.
Okay, gotcha.
Oh, Crystal, before you go, show your shirt.
Oh. Yeah, that's right.
Hampton
We saw the
University.
colors.
Yes, my Hampton shirt.
HU Pirates. Okay.
Yes, I try to put on a shirt every week. Yes. That's right. And again, just from going out different. Oh, you went to Hampton. I went to Hampton. My brother went to Hampton. Somebody went to Hampton. Yeah. You see how.
How we identify.
That's how we identify.
Yes.
Thank you
Another-
again. And
Another value of going to an HBCU, believe me.
Exactly.
no matter
Yes,
where you are in the world, you're gonna find one
You're gonna
of
run
us.
into someone, that's for sure.
that's
You're gonna
right. That's
find
the truth. And
All
thank
right.
you so much again.
You're
Okay.
quite welcome. And Portsmouth Coffee Talk is here for our voice.
Our community,
In our future.
all right.
And I got one soda in there tonight.
Okay, Crystal, thank you once again.
Thank you. Thank you. And have
Nice
a blessed
meeting you,
weekend.
even though it's virtually, it was truly nice meeting you.
Truly nice. Likewise. Likewise. And have
Okay.
a blessed weekend.
Same to you, dear. And be
To
safe,
all of you.
most of all, be
Okay.
safe.
You too.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
bye-bye.
Bye, Michelle.